What's up, guys? My name is Matt from Magic the Greatening, and today I got a cool budget deck tech for you. It's going to be mono red Aggro. Alright, before we get into things, I wanted to say out there, it's been a while since I've made a video. I just recently went on vacation, and right after that vacation I went camping, which I guess still is part of my vacation. So I was gone for a really long time. I was planning on editing videos a whole bunch and trying to put them out periodically throughout my little vacation, but I just didn't have the time to. So we are back though, and I checked the last poll, and you guys voted for Green-Red Gonti's Glorious End, which is just a fun little deck using Gonti's Aether Heart and Glorious End. However, I've just been testing that deck recently, and I just did not win with it at all. I maybe won like 2 games, not 2 matches, 2 games, out of maybe 3 or 4 matches playing against different decks. So it's back to the drawing board with that deck, but I will try to get that deck out for you guys. Speaking of voting, go ahead and click up there in the top right corner and vote for my next deck tech. Glorious End won't be one of the options. I'm gonna wait until I think I've got a good deck for that. But you got some cool options up there. Go ahead and vote. Let's get right into it though. Alright, so you guys know I like to start out with the creatures. Let's start out at the bottom of the curve, the 1-drops. We're playing 12 1-drops in this deck. Play 4 copies of Bomat Courier, 4 copies of Flameblade Adept, and 4 copies of Soulscar Mage. Bomat Courier is a lot better than I expected it to be, even when it came out, and it's still kind of surprisingly good. Basically can give you card advantage, since this deck you run out of cards really quickly. Bomat Courier is good for refilling your hand as long as it doesn't get removed. We're also playing Soulscar Mage, which we're playing some burn spells. But it's also just a 1-mana 1/2 prowess, so the -1/-1 can be nice, but the prowess is really what we're playing it. And Flameblade Adept, we're doing some discard cards here. We're also not playing anything with cycling, no Sweltering Suns in the deck, because that actually hurts us more than it helps us, and especially since we're trying to save budget. That card's very, very expensive right now. But we are discarding a lot of cards, so this can just be a 1-mana 2/2 menace, 1-mana 3/2 menace. Just really, really good for turn 2. Alright, let's talk about the 2 other creatures we're playing in this deck. We're playing 20 creatures, which seems not a lot for an aggro deck. But again, we're mono red, so we're playing a lot of burn. Anyway, we're going to play 4 copies of Bloodrage Brawler and 4 copies of Reckless Bushwacker. Arguably, these are both 2-drops. Obviously, Bloodrage is a 2-mana 4/3. And Bushwacker, for the most part, you'll be using it for a surge cost. And it's very, 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 very crucial to our end game plan. If you get a Reckless Bushwacker, let's say turn 4, you have a Bloodrage Brawler, Reckless Bushwacker, and a Mountain in your hands. You play the Bloodrage Brawler, discarding the Mountain, then you play the Reckless Bushwacker for 2. All of a sudden, you just have this like huge army that just got buffs, and they all have haste. It gets crazy the amount of damage you can get through when you play a Reckless Bushwacker for its surge cost. You know, and obviously you don't want to not play it for a surge cost. I've never ever done that ever. But very, very good card, very crucial to our end game, along with Bloodrage Brawler, best creature in the deck by far. A 2-mana 4-power guy is perfect for an aggro deck. On to the non-creature spells. Now keep a note, I'm playing some enchantment auras here, but that does still trigger prowess for things like Flameblade Adept. And everything can be played for 1 red mana, which is kind of what we want. We want to squeeze as much spells into 1 turn as we can. We want to run over control decks. We want to run over mid-range decks. We want to run over the Marvel deck. We have a tough time against zombies, not going to lie. They're able to gain enough life and keep themselves alive to get past this early game rush. But let's get right into it. We're going to play 4 copies of Cartouche's Zeal and 3 copies of Consuming Fervor. Now, I could see people in the comments saying, why aren't you playing Built to Smash or Invigorated Rampage or any other red pump spell that's not Consuming Fervor. I like Consuming Fervor because it gives your guy a +3/+3 boost the first turn you play it, and then a +2/+2 boost the second turn it's on that creature, then +1/+1. It just honestly gives 6 extra power over the span of 3 turns, which is much more valuable to me. It still gives your guy +3/+3. It's basically a build to smash, but better. Obviously can't be played at instant speed. You got to play it before combat. But again, if you're just trying to rush in damage, you play this. Maybe you play a Cartouche's Zeal and Consuming Fervor on a Flameblade Adept or a Soulscar Mage or something. All of a sudden, you added, let's say it's a Soulscar Mage, right? So prowess goes off twice. You had 4 power to him. All of a sudden, turn 2, you're just dealing 7 damage. Yeah, no big deal. And then each turn, he does get a little bit smaller. He doesn't get the prowess triggers. But you have a huge 1-mana guy that they have to deal with. And for some decks that play a little bit slower, yeah, they can harness lightning your guys, fatal push, whatever. But you play so many early 1-drops that they don't really have options, and they have to keep drawing into their removal spells if they want to stay alive. So that's why I like Consuming Fervor better, just because it gives more value over time than things like Built to Smash or Invigorated Rampage. All right, so now we're going to get to the instants, and then just basically burn and removal spells. We're going to play 4 copies of Fiery Temper, because we're discarding cards, and it's just a Lightning Bolt in Standard, no big deal. 4 Lightning Axe to discard those Fiery Tempers, or just remove big bodies out of the way. There's a lot of good 2-drops in the Standard right now, so Lightning Axe can help anything with toughness 5 or less, which is most of the creatures in Standard. And then also 3 copies of Shock. We're not playing this over things like Magma Spray or Incendiary Flow, just because it's 1 mana, it's instant speed, and it can hit creatures and players. Magma Spray can only hit creatures, and Incendiary Flow is sorcery speed, and it costs 1 more. We want to keep everything kind of low on the ground. We want to be playing things for 1. We want to run out of our hand kind of quickly. Bomat Courier can fill it back up if we need it. Bomat Courier is kind of our optimal turn 1 play. However, Shock can just give us that versatility that this deck kind of needs. You know, we have things for specific situations, and Shock can be really good. And with Soulscar Mage can just put 2 -1 counters on a guy. You know, so they think they have a 4/4 blocker, and then all of a sudden it's a 2/2 blocker, and our Bloodrage brawler just kind of runs right over them. So Shock in that way is really good. Okay, on to the lands. We're playing 22. That's pretty much standard for a deck that only plays 1 and 2 drops. 22 mountains, obviously. Nothing more to say about it. Let's get to the sideboard. So the sideboard is going to consist of mostly removal spells and more burn spells. But let's get to the creature that's in the sideboard. We're playing 4 copies of Antcrop Crasher in the sideboard. This thing is very good. It's better than people thought it would be. A 3-mana 3/2 haste. Okay, that's not the greatest thing. However, you may exert it when it attacks, and when you do, target creature can't block this turn. They think they have a chump blocker. No, you don't, and we're going to swing in for 10 damage to win the game on just turn 3 or 4. So it can be very good in that sense. And if they're able to put out a whole bunch of early creatures, you might want to sideboard this in, maybe taking out like Flameblade Adept or Soulscar Mage. But the burn spells are going to be 4 copies of Hungry Flames, which kind of seems like a lot. It's a 3-mana thing, but 3 mana that kind of does 5 damage spread between a creature and a player. It's pretty good. We're also going to be playing 4 copies of Incendiary Flow, just because if you want to play a more grindier matchup, you can throw things like Hungry Flames, Incendiary Flow in to do that extra damage if it need be. If they're gaining a lot of life, you know, you're playing Aetherworks Marvel. They have things like Woodweaver's Puzzle Knot. It's going to give them 6 life basically for 5 mana. Gets them a whole bunch of energy, and then get right back in the game with the Woodweaver's Puzzle Knot. Incendiary Flow can do that extra damage. It exiles things, which is good against zombies. You know, obviously we're main boarding Shock over this, but this can give us our little boost over things, like if we need extra damage or if we want to exile some zombies. Then we're also going to play 3 copies of Release the Gremlins against, again, Marvel decks, Mardu vehicle decks, anything that's built heavy with artifacts. Release the Gremlins can be very good. And it can be good against kind of a mono-blue controlled deck, so if you're able to resolve it, which sometimes, most of the times you won't be able to. But if you can destroy one of their Torrential Gear Hulks and get a 2/2 out of this, it's pretty good. I know it'll originally cost 3 mana to destroy an artifact, but you get a 2/2 out of it, so I saw that a little bit better than a Buy Force. That's it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Please hit that like button if you thought this deck tech was satisfactory. Or if you have any suggestions or anything to change, please leave it in the comments below. Don't forget to vote for the next deck tech I make up in that right-hand corner. Just click that little eye icon and you will be able to vote for my next episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'm glad to be back. I'll see you in the next one.